Hello and welcome to my podcast. My name is Grace Tafoya and I'm a junior at the University of Iowa and a former college women's basketball player. Today I will be talking about the portrayal of female athletes in sport media. Women athletes immensely lack quality sports coverage compared to men. This is an important issue in today's society because there are many prominent female athletes. The solution I'm offering to fix this problem is women athletes and teams receiving more sports coverage and a higher quality of sports coverage. I recommend that more exciting coverage and publicity will logically result in more favorable opinions of female sports. Secondly, more media coverage of women's sports will allow viewers to see male and female athletes as equal and not one being more superior than the other, which in turn will create a demand for exceptional sports coverage. Lastly, media coverage often sexualizes or domesticizes female athletes. By placing more of an emphasis on media coverage that focuses on the athlete and her contributions to society, it will help female athletes establish more respect and receive better media coverage. Spin by even 15 to 20% can make a substantial impact because it will increase a fan base that can be added to the already loyal fans of women's sports. This concludes that female athletes need to receive more coverage in order to become more popular. It also shows male sports are used to draw in viewers due to their media dominance. Therefore, they are deemed as more interesting or unpredictable. People who do not watch women's sports often state their reasoning based on predictability. As reported by the NCAA on its website, the UConn women's basketball team recorded 111 straight wins until the 2017 season. Despite UConn's dominance during those few years, NCAA women's basketball has proved that it can be just as exciting as men's. The NCAA tournament for men's basketball is called March Madness. Why? Because the media likes to emphasize how wild and unpredictable the tournament is. However, many love to incorrectly say women's basketball isn't entertaining. Take this. The Notre Dame women's basketball team won this year's NCAA tournament on back-to-back buzzer beaters in both the semifinals and the championship game. This year wasn't predictable at all, and women's basketball finally received some attention because of it. All in all, women's sports need to be treated by the media as unpredictable and exciting because that's how men's sports are examined as, and women's sports are as stated by Mary Jo Kane on page 232 in The Better Sports Women Get, the More the Media Ignore Them, quote, as longitudinal research on the televised news media coverage demonstrates, women's sport is consistently ignored and the sport media silences women's sports. We need female athletes to be seen and heard, and we need to give them a bigger platform in the national media. Let's talk about Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs' tennis match. It's even dubbed as Battle of the Sexes. Billie Jean King is often regarded as one of the best tennis players in the world and was challenged by former champion Bobby Riggs. Millions tuned in the match, and King ended up winning and proved to viewers that women athletes are just as good as male athletes. According to Toby Miller's academic article, he states numerous times that male sports are popular due to the conception of male dominance. If women athletes are seen as equal to men athletes, they'll receive more media coverage and become more well-respected among sports followers. Lastly, we need to focus media attention on female athletes as athletes and not sexualizing or domesticizing them. This will let the public respect female athletes for their athletic accomplishments, making their sports more publicized. In Amanda Ottaway's article, Why Don't People Watch Women's Sports? Ask sports journalists. Popular HBO commentator Bill Simmons is quoted saying, well, the vast majority of WNBA players lack crossover sex appeal. The baggy uniforms don't help, end quote. Unfortunately, what Simmons said is an opinion that others share too. Women have a history of being seen as sexual objects. Look at Sports Illustrated's annual swimsuit edition. This is the only time that women receive multiple full features in Sports Illustrated. Instead of featuring more articles that celebrate female athletes, Sports Illustrated deliberately decides to feature models and athletes in sexualized swimsuit poses. Oftentimes, when women athletes appear in magazines, they are domesticized. They're either talked about being moms, wives, or even daughters. By creating media that values females as athletes themselves and not sexualizing or domesticizing them, women athletes will receive more respect for their athleticism and dedication to the sport. Therefore, they will receive respect and increase more quality and quantity of coverage. The United States is fortunate enough to be a country where there are laws allowing women to play sports. Title IX's enforcement gives females here the opportunity to participate in athletes, but it isn't enough for allowing women to receive equal coverage and respect from their counterparts. The first step to solve this problem is to give women's sports more publicity and excitement. A second step that can help this problem is for the media to show that female athletes are equal to male athletes. Lastly, more media that emphasizes and empowers female athletes instead of sexualizing or domesticizing females will result in more respect for female athletes and will give all female athletes higher quality coverage. More media coverage for women's sports will ultimately lead to women's sports becoming more popular.